Welcome to the Creators and Experts podcast. Today we have Tay Ladd on. And before we get started, a little bit about her is she's a corporate tax lawyer and content creator who is one of the first dog mom influencers. And she has developed a professional mastery of communication within the content creator space. And among her many accomplishments, she is not only a successful tax lawyer, she graduated from Georgetown Law and has been a leader in the work-life balance space, especially around content creation. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the first question I always like to get into is pretty basic. How did you get started creating content?
I started actually with on Instagram. I had a dog account because when I first got my puppy, I knew that I would probably annoy all my family and friends by posting just photos of him all the time. So I created a separate account just to share photos of him as he was a cute puppy. But then that evolved pretty quickly into a dog and dog mom account where I shared my life and what I was going through with my job. And it kind of evolved more to where it is right now, where it's corporate dog mom, where I am sharing my or talking about what I was going through at my job and sharing survival tips for corporate America, but then also talking about being a dog mom and sharing dog friendly lifestyle tips. So I've merged the two major aspects of my life.
That makes sense. And it leads really well into another question I have, which is what skills do you think transfer well between that corporate world and having this content creator world, which in a lot of ways couldn't be more different sometimes?
I think that just the fact that I have to show up every single day at my job, whether I'm having a bad day or not, I don't get to kind of just say, well, I don't feel good today, or my video didn't perform well, or whatever. It's like you have to show up every single day. They don't care. My job doesn't care what I'm going through. I mean, at least if I'm sick, then I get that. But you have to really just show up every single day. And that consistency, because you don't really have a choice, has translated over into social media where it's like, again, if I have one bad post, that can't really affect me showing up every single day. I'm going to show up regardless. And also, it's not that I'm not fixated on the post performance, but the reason why I created these accounts and why I continue to do it is because I do use content creation as a form of stress relief. So for me, it's a really positive thing. And it's not so much me focused on the outcome, but just the act of creating the content and posting it for me is really enough. So that also is another reason why it's easy for me to stay consistent with creating content.
That makes sense. And on the flip side of that, is there anything going from the corporate tax world that you had to unlearn when you were kind of transitioning into this other world? Excuse me.
Yeah, definitely. In that world, it's very conservative, and it's always think before you act and all of this stuff. And you kind of have to let that go when it comes to creating content, just because that hesitation definitely like stifles your creativity. So while in some ways those aspects of being consistent and showing up are good for content creation and just having a good or a successful career as a creator, it can also stifle your creativity. And a lot of times when it comes to TikTok, for example, it's just about get an idea. You might not have everything worked out, but you just want to share it. And sometimes those are the posts that do the best versus like when I sit there and I talk myself out of it and I overthink things, those don't actually perform as well because it's not as natural. And I was kind of stifling my creativity by thinking about something else that I shouldn't be thinking about. So it's really just when you can let go of those, should I be posting this? Should I be doing that? You just put it out there within reason, obviously, but just put it out there. You're not worried about, oh, my makeup's not this, or I'm not like, whatever. It's just you put it out there. You have a message to share. Those, I would say like that's one aspect of being in corporate America that can stifle creativity as a creator.
That makes sense. And then kind of along that same vein, so was there any big skills that you had to develop that just weren't there yet when it came to even maybe managing your time at home being a creator?
Definitely time management. I can't really control when I have a burst of creativity. And it's hard sometimes to kind of just like be disciplined and not necessarily post in the moment because I'm the type of creator that when I get an idea, I need to share it immediately. I can't just like wait until like whatever. So that has been a struggle with balancing, like you're at work during these hours. So that has been challenging. And there are times where I just like, when I actually get around to post a video, I may have gotten the idea in the morning or midday, but I'm at work and I can't post during the day. So there are times where that does, it is unfortunate, but it kind of just is what it is. When you're a full-time job and you are a part-time creator, you can't really just like drop your job because you have a spark of genius that comes to you. So that is challenging. I'm trying to train my brain to come up with ideas like either super early in the morning before I go into the office. So at least I can like shoot the video and like get the concept out. I may not post it because I need time to kind of sit with it, but so that's something I've been doing actually recently, where it's, if I have an idea and I get the idea early enough in the day where I can record it before work, I will do that so that like I do have like, I can bring the energy and the creativity into the content, even if I have to go back and edit it after work. But that's at least like helping me get it out of my head before I kind of like lose my train of thought. But that's something that I started doing recently because I was just kind of like allowing myself to go through the entire day at work. And then by the end of the day, it's like, oh, what was I trying to do? And then I kind of forget it, or my energy level isn't there. So then the content isn't as good as it would have been if I had just done it when I first got the idea.
That makes sense. And I think one of the benefits of having this podcast and being able to have all the different creators on is some people are full-time creators, some people are like yourself, part-time creators with full-time jobs, and they have to be able to balance that. And I think having this diversity of people to listen to can really help, because I think a
Yeah,
lot of times, and I mentioned this before, people often kind of view content creation as maybe a solo gig, and it's not. I mean, you can often feel quite alone, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the benefit of being able to learn that there's this larger community out there can really help.
for
Um,
sure.
yeah. So another kind of question I have, and I've seen you've done some interviews on, the different ways you view income and how to kind of look at maybe not using the the retire early model, but rather talking about how you want to kind of build the life you want now.
Yeah.
So down that vein, and take this whatever direction you prefer, when did you start viewing content creation as maybe an income source?
Um, I would say the beginning of 2021, I started getting brand deals. I would say like spring 2020, but I just didn't really see it. I mean, I still don't see it as something that can replace my full-time job right now unless I stop working my full-time job. And I felt that I still think that in order for it to fully replace my full-time job, I would need to start pitching and taking more initiative and, kind of reaching out and doing a lot of outreach for brand deals. And I don't do any of that right now. So I still don't see it getting to a place where currently, with the way that I do get brand deals, replacing my full-time salary. So I guess I didn't take it seriously. I kind of always knew that this would be like part-time. It's good to have some extra cash on the side. But I would say 2021 was a really good year in terms of brand deals. And I think that was probably the first time that I started to think, okay, you know what? This is like not just like a couple hundred. This is pretty significant. 2022, I took a step back because I was focusing more on my business, not so much me promoting other brands, but I was the brand. So I was trying to build that. And now 2023, I've kind of gone back to more of the creating content for brands.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Along that similar line of having more than one income source, how do you and what tips might you be able to share for how you kind of break up that work-life balance? You made it clear kind of in other interviews and other posts that that's important to you, and having work at work, but also some work at home, I imagine can be very important that you put up those boundaries. So what tips might you have?
Well, for me, I segment my life into from 8 to 8 p.m. I may go longer or later, but from 8 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, my phone is on do not disturb. So that's just like when I'm locked into my job. So if things come in, yeah, I might look at it, but for the most part, I'm locked in at work. And just having that like mindset of like, that is my time where I'm working and everything else can just wait until then. That just kind of helps me like have that routine of like, let's set our priorities. Yes, we love content creation. Yes, we love all of these things, but what actually brings in most of the revenue to allow you to have this lifestyle, and it's your full-time job. So just like having that priority, it's like I kind of just like go in, work really hard, and then after that I can focus on other things. So just knowing that it's not like I do have some control, and again, this is all can change depending on what I'm working on at work, but just having that where it's like from 8 to 8, this is the time I commit to just working and focusing on my job. And then after that, I can do whatever I want. But also, when I am working on social media and not just like creating organic content, if I'm working on a brand deal, that is work. So it's helpful for me. And I don't like to ever sign up for more than maybe 2 or 3 brand deals at any given time, just because it is work. And I do enjoy doing it, but at the end of the day, what I just prefer to just create organic content, of course. So I do limit how many brand deals I take on so that I'm not overwhelmed, because I can't really shoot content during the work week. So then, and that means that's my weekends are going to be devoted to creating content for a sponsored campaign. So I try to limit that so I'm not just feeling like I'm working my full-time job and then also having to do work for brand deals. I'm trying to kind of like space it out, and also just like give myself time to, just be creative and have fun.
Right, that makes sense. And in that kind of structure, have you found, you mentioned that you're trying to train yourself to be good at coming up with ideas maybe in the morning. Have you found any ways to kind of spark that creativity a little more on command? And if not, everyone, this is a very big topic that everyone's working on.
It's not that I can. So what I have started doing now is that I'll have ideas, and it's just like either I'm not feeling like shooting a particular video on that day, or it just doesn't work out with timing. So I have a running list of content ideas that I want to do for the week. So for example, like when I started my job, I was like, well, I have like new outfits, and I couldn't like shoot like a outfit of the day, whatever corporate workwear each day. So I was like, you know what, I can do a 5-second little clip of myself in the mirror right before I leave work, and I'll figure it out at the end of the week. And that's what I did. So I just did that every single day. I was like, here's my little 5-second clip. And then on Friday, I put it all together and I did like, here's my work week. So something like that, where it's helpful to kind of have like concepts, so that even if you aren't able to maybe do something in the moment, you can kind of still like shoot content intentionally and then go back to it. But that took a lot of time. Like I'm transitioning my TikTok a little bit, because it was more so just focus on corporate humor and like talking about toxic workplaces. And now that I've left my toxic job, I don't really have, I mean, I still have like old experience to pull from, but that's on my day to day right now, thank God. So my content is shifting a little bit. So with that, it is a little bit different, because before I was just like, well, I had a really bad day, this happened at work or something similar happened at work, I can just post about it. And it was so easy. And now I do kind of have to think about things a little bit more, just because I'm not relying on that like toxic corporate workplace as like a crutch anymore. I'm branching out. So that does take a little bit more planning on like, well, what am I doing? Like, what could I do with my content now? So it's forcing me to kind of to get outside of my comfort zone, because I relied on that for like over a year now. So now it's okay, well, now you don't have that anymore. What do you do? So that's kind of where I've been struggling a little bit. But I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I started posting about corporate workwear on one video, and I had like a brand reach out for a collab. Like I've never posted about this before. So I think it's, if you are passionate about something, you can make it work. But it has been a little bit like different, but good different though.
Yeah, I would say congrats on not having the toxic workplace to have to post about anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
So
people relate to it, but I think what I want, that's another reason why I love my content and just like what I post, is because yes, it's stress relief and it's a great creative outlet for me. But the messaging behind of it is I really do want to, now with me finding a healthy workplace, inspire people that if they are in a toxic workplace like I was, to do something about it and get out of it. So that's where I'm the type of person where I can do things on the fly. But because I'm putting more intention into my content now, and I wanted to have a very specific message, that's kind of why I haven't been as like on the fly with like coming up with content. I really do want to be more intentional with it. So that's what's taking me a little bit more time to kind of develop like my new, like, I guess, like theme for the workplace content.
That's great. I think that that's a really good message to share with other creators, is that it's okay to step back sometimes and
Yeah.
reevaluate and restructure.
Yeah.
So to change gears a little bit, because I want to give you a chance to talk about it, do you have any hubs you want to talk about, or next projects that are kind of exciting for you?
Um, right now I'm just really focused on my job 100% because I just started my new job 2 weeks ago. So that's kind of where I'm really just like putting the bulk of my focus and energy. So not anything particularly that I have outside of that. I mean, that could change tomorrow, honestly. Like things just happen so quickly. But right now, no, I'm just really focused on my job. I do have some brand deals like with a woman's workwear brand, but I've been limiting the brands that I take on or the brand deals that I take on just because I do want to be focused on my job right now. But no, it's kind of good though. It kind of feels good to not really have any obligations. But I think the beginning of the year, I really did a lot because there was a lot of interest. So and these were all great opportunities. So I took a lot more than I would have wanted to take on. But now I think I'm just kind of enjoying not doing as much.
Definitely. And then I saw you had previously created, and it looks just about complete, a hub on Kahana for the different kind of scripts for
Yeah.
brand deals and stuff. So do you want to share anything about that? Anything that you think that would be particularly helpful for other creators with?
Yeah, so I actually completed that hub and then another one so the first hub that I created, it's a list of 50 plus email scripts and templates that I've drafted and used multiple times when I'm negotiating with brands, or brands most of the time would use like an influencer or a PR agency to contact me on their behalf. So these templates cover everything from the initial outreach from a brand reaching out, how to respond, how to negotiate various aspects of the contract when it comes to the scope of services, payment, various things. So, and these are things that I've used myself. And I also provide like the context of how it was used. Sometimes I'll say like, what was the outcome after I use a particular template? And this is just really good because I know a lot of people, like when I would share on my second TikTok account, the corporate creator, which is where that's more my business account where I share tips and more of the brand deal stuff. Because the corporate doc mom is more of like my life, and that's where I post the brand deals. But the corporate creator is really the behind the scenes of this is like how I get the brand deals. This is how I navigate the brand deals, and I share tips for creators. So on that account, I would share like little screenshots of obviously redacted any confidential information, but I would just show like how I respond to brands. And so many people would just respond or comment saying, I wouldn't even know how to respond to a brand deal or any inquiry from a brand. And then I realized it's because not many people probably are sending those emails every single day or sending emails where they have to, kind of present themselves that way. And I send emails every single day at my job. So I'm used to kind of conversing with corporate parties, like very like sophisticated like attorneys every single day. So I saw it as an opportunity to really kind of just share the things that I've been doing, because if it can help someone avoid needing to get an agent or something just because you didn't know how to respond to these brands and you were intimidated, for sure, I will share this. And these are things that, even though these are things that I use, it can apply to pretty much everyone. For the most part, these are very common email exchanges that creators have with brands. And then the second hub that I have shares, if you get like an influencer contract template. So when you are working with brands, 9 times out of 10, I would say almost 10 times out of 10, the brand will present you with an influencer contract that their attorneys drafted or some template they found online. So this contract template that I drafted is influencer creator friendly, and it walks you through, well, you can actually just use it and like customize it if you want, if the brand didn't provide you with one. But I also, which I think is the most important part, I provide an instructional guide that explains every single section of the contract template that you're going to see, and it gives you negotiation tips. In addition to that, I also have a pricing guide that offers guidance on not just like setting your rates, but just the things that you should be charging for. Because a lot of times brands reach out and they say, well, hey, here's like, I don't know, $1,000 to post one TikTok. And you think, okay, fine, that's great. But then they also want to whitelist your content and run ads with it, or they want you to repost on a different platform. So that's what this guide is getting at. It's or I guess like informing and educating creators about the different things that they should be charging for, and not just charging to create the content, because that's just one like way that you should be one thing you should be charging brands for. So it's really kind of just educating creators on all of the different services that they are giving and sometimes not charging for. So it's a lot. And I think I mean, I could probably charge a lot more for this stuff, but for me, I think it's beneficial to just have creators be aware of this so that we all can benefit from it. The more the creators know, the better it helps every single creator when creators are just like knowledgeable about how much they should be charging.
Definitely. And I think there's probably no one better than someone who's in that world on a professional basis, but also in the content creation side. And I think you're pretty rare when it comes to that. So it is wonderful that you're sharing that with everyone.
Yeah, no, I
And I
definitely want it to get out there to the masses. Like I don't promote it at all. And that's I need to probably promote it more. But I'm just because again, I put the information out there. Like but I'm really bad about like promoting because I always feel like I don't want necessarily to, I mean, I do want to sell it, but for me, the most important thing is to just get the information out there for creators to just have that knowledge. Because a lot of times, like people think they need agents or they need managers, and you really don't. You really don't.
right. And on the smaller scale of things, I think that having that knowledge is more valuable than anything else. Making
Exactly.
sure you're not getting taken advantage of. And I
Right.
think that's a wonderful thing you're offering. I do want to be respectful of your time, so I'll just leave it to you, kind of throw it back. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Um, and if not, everyone should check out kind of all you have to offer, from your hubs to your TikTok, to your kind of professional development as it moves along.
Yeah, no, I think that's it. Like yeah, that's it. That was so efficient. You guys were so efficient.
Well, there's a lot of ground I want to cover, so I want to make sure that we got to touch on everything a little bit. I really appreciate your time. It was great to talk with you, and congrats
Likewise.
on your new job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I can.
All right, take care.